junk car, out.
The 1978 Roadster sat like a ghost of glory, its chipped crimson paint and rusted fenders, pleading for a second life.
Dad, you always said this car was made with love. I don't think he sees it.
Garbage unworthy of our bay. Drive that rust trap home.
A dozen heads turned. Shocked whispers rippled through the garage as the head restorer's words echoed.
Oh, this is gold. Hakone legend tosses family car. My editor will fight me for the headline. Someone needs to bring him tea. Why does no one move?
Don't waste my time. Our wait list is for real cars, not sentimental projects.
Kotaro didn't argue. He just walked back to the old Roadster, closed the door softly, and the silence was worse than the shout.
Dad, I am sorry. I thought they could see what you saw.
Kotaro reached for the glove compartment to put away the registration papers. The old latch clicked, and inside, something long and rolled caught his eye. He pulled it out, a yellowed scroll, thin as onion skin. Unrolling it, the first line made his fingers stop. Engine Bay, designed by Yamashita, 1978. Underneath, in familiar looping script, was the signature he had seen on 100 forgotten tools. Yamashita Genji. A memory surfaced, his father tapping the fender, grease on his knuckles, the afternoon sun warm.
This car was made with love, Kotaro.
He could almost smell the motor oil and hear the hum of his father's tinkering. Never a word of pride.
He wasn't just a mechanic. He engineered this car from the soul out.
The blueprint was his father's hidden masterpiece. Proof of a genius hidden behind gentle eyes.
You never wanted fame, Dad, but your car deserves to be seen.
Kotaro re-rolled the blueprint with deliberate care, his jaw set. He wouldn't start the engine yet. A soft knock trembled the driver's window. Outside, the young mechanic held a small teacup, steam curling into the chilly mountain air.
The tea isn't much. I brewed it for a senior customer who never showed. Please take it.
Thank you. After everything, it helps more than you know.
That rolled paper you are holding, it looks important. Is it a map?
Kotaro hesitated, then pulled the paper open a few inches. The stamped letters caught the gold light.
Wait, Yamashita? Yamashita Genji? That's the man my grandfather always spoke of. The master he never forgot. Master Hiroshi, our head restorer. He's been collecting Yamashita's papers for 20 years. He thinks Yamashita is the greatest engineer who ever lived.
The man who called my father's car garbage worships my father?
Don't go anywhere. I have to tell him. Wait right here, please.
She was gone before he could find a word. Kotaro sat frozen, a cup of cooling tea in one hand, and a secret in the other that was no longer his alone.
Sentimental tourists always drag rusty heaps here. I did public a favor sending that boy home.
A favor? The kid looked like you spit on his father's grave. That's the headline.
Before Hiroshi could retort, the side door slammed open. Mayu stood there, chest heaving, clutching a rolled sheet.
Master Hiroshi, the car outside, the one you rejected, it has this. Look at the name.
Hiroshi's fingers trembled as he traced the looping signature. For a long second, the shop held its breath.
Impossible. This is a sick forgery. That kid probably printed it off the internet.
A Yamashita forgery? Now that's even better than the first story.
Hiroshi shoved past the gawking mechanics and threw open the bay doors. Outside, Kotaro still sat motionless.
You think you can frame a Yamashita blueprint and embarrass me in my own shop?
Kotaro's hand tightened around the teacup, but his voice came steady, even as the whole garage drew in to watch.
You want proof? Here is the man who raised me, and this car.
The photograph was creased and sun-bleached, a small boy grinning beside the very roadster, his father's hand resting on the hood.
And this, his obituary, the official one, from the Automotive Engineers Gazette. He never wanted fame, but they published anyway.
Hiroshi snatched the clipping. His eyes scanned the black-bordered notice, and the blood drained from his face.
A family photo and a funeral notice. That's some heavy evidence. Even the old man's starting to shake.
Even if you are his son. This blueprint was meant for an archive, not a glove compartment. Yamashita never let his work gather dust.
My father lived with secrets. Maybe this was the only way he could leave me a legacy. I only found it today.
A few mechanics nodded. Akemi's camera clicked. The garage, for a moment, forgot who was the master, and who was the master, and who was the outcast.
If you are really his son, why didn't you say so before? Why let me throw you out like that?
Because the man you worship was just my dad, and I didn't know what that meant to the rest of the world until 10 minutes ago. Here, the family registry. It lists Yamashita Genji as my father. That's not something you can print off the internet.
Hiroshi's fingers shook as he opened the booklet. The name was there, inked in old kanji. Yamashita Genji, father of Kotaro.
Yamashita Genji. I've studied your father's work my entire career.
Without another word, Hiroshi turned and walked toward the office. A silent gesture for Kotaro to follow. The crowd parted, whispers trailing. The office was a shrine. Shelves bowed under leather-bound volumes of Yamashita's papers. A scale model engine sat under glass.
Every paper he ever published. I collected them since I was a young mechanic. That letter, I wrote to him once, but never sent it.
He worshipped Dad, but he still can't say the word sorry.
I was wrong about the car, but you have to understand, I am a man of pride. To admit I insulted Yamashita's own son.
Then, what do you plan to do about it? You threw my father's legacy out. Are you just going to show me your collection and call it a day?
Hiroshi looked at the blueprint still in his hand, then at the roadster visible through the office window. He said nothing. The silence promised something, but not yet an apology.
You called my father's legacy junk. Now you can't even look at me.
20 years ago, a Yamashita paper on manifold flow stopped a project meltdown. I owe him my career.
Then, why insult the car he built with his own hands? That's not gratitude, that's arrogance.
Hiroshi's jaw clenched, but his eyes glistened. Somewhere deep, the dam was cracking.
Master Hiroshi. When I held that blueprint, I felt Yamashita's hand guiding mine. It's not just paper.
Mayu, you felt him in that drawing? I've studied his work for decades and never felt that.
Even she, through that paper, she touched my father's soul, and I almost drove away.
The engine bay design. It breathes. It's warm. Mr. Kotaro, your father, he poured love into that car.
The office, which had felt like a mausoleum, suddenly became a place of presence. The blueprint on the desk seemed to hum.
Maybe. I need to see that car again. Not as junk. As his. The frame is straight. The engine, even rusted, has Yamashita's signature symmetry. This isn't junk. I'll restore it. A full cosmetic and mechanical overhaul. But it won't be cheap. 4 million yen.
4 million? I can't. I am a construction site supervisor. Even with my savings, I'd be buried in debt.
Then no money. I'll restore it for free, if you let me document everything. I am writing a book on Yamashita's lost designs.
So now he wants to use Dad's car for his book. Will he honor it, or just exploit it?
This car is a primary source. The blueprint alone would make the book definitive. Please, I need you to trust me.
Fine. But the car never leaves my ownership. And if you are going to tell my father's story, you better tell the truth about today.
Agreed. I'll write what I did. Good or bad. Mayu, prepare Bay 3.
Without another word, Hiroshi pulled on fresh gloves. Mayu handed him a torque wrench, and the restoration began. The roadster rolled into the workshop bay. Kotaro watched from the door, holding the cold teacup. The engine might be Yamashita's heart, but his own heart still felt heavy. The workshop calendar flipped pages, weeks blurring into months. The roadster slowly shed its rust like dead skin. Hiroshi bent over the engine, every bolt cleaned, every gasket replaced. He measured tolerances with a micrometer, whispering Yamashita's notes under his breath.
Master Hiroshi, I brought you coffee. It's 3 in the morning again.
Yamashita once wrote that sleep is a luxury when precision demands obsession. I finally understand him.
Kotaro visited on Sundays, watching his father's car transform. He and Mayu sat on a tool chest, trading stories.
He never taught me to drive manual. Said the car would teach me when I was ready. I guess I am still learning.
My grandfather told me the same thing about welding. He said, Mayu, the flame will tell you when you are close enough.
One evening, while organizing a dusty storage loft, Mayu's hand brushed against an old toolbox with her grandfather's name stenciled on the lid.
Grandfather's toolbox. I thought it was lost. This letter, it's from Yamashita.
The envelope was sealed, the paper brittle. Mayu held it, her heart racing, afraid to breathe on the faded ink. Mayu's fingers trembled as she broke the wax seal. Inside, the paper was thin as a butterfly wing. The letter began, "To my dear apprentice, if my son Kotaro brings this car, guide him. Restore it with love."
Yamashita wrote to my grandfather about Kotaro. Everything connects.
She raced down to the workshop, letter fluttering. Kotaro-san, Master Hiroshi.
If my son Kotaro ever brings you this car, guide him. Let him restore it with love.
The letter slipped from his hands. He crumpled to his knees, sobs tearing through him.
I am sorry. I insulted the very heart of the man I worshipped.
Kotaro stepped forward, his own eyes wet. He said nothing, but his presence was enough.
My grandfather was Yamashita's first apprentice. I've kept this secret. Now I know why I'm here.
I'll restore this car with the same love he put into it. Not for a book, for him, for you.
9 months passed. The roadster emerged from Bay 3 like a phoenix, every panel straightened, every chrome piece reflecting the morning sun.
Kotaro, your father's car is finally complete.
Dad, it's perfect.
Akemi returned, this time without her smirk. She carried a copy of her magazine, the headline reading, "Restoration of a Legend."
I wrote a retraction. When this car wins concours, this cover will be worth something.
Before the gathered crowd, Hiroshi lowered himself to his knees once more, his voice carrying across the silent workshop.
I humiliated you publicly. Now I apologize publicly. I am sorry, Kotaro.
Stand up. You've already proven yourself through this restoration. My father would forgive you.
The concours is in 2 weeks. Should we enter it?
Kotaro looked at the gleaming roadster, his father's photograph now displayed on the dash, and nodded. The answer was clear.
We need to register before the deadline. This car was born for Karuizawa.
What if they call it a fake again? Can I risk another public humiliation?
Kotaro, your father wrote that letter for my grandfather. He wanted this car to be seen. We have to try.
You are right. For him, we'll enter.
They spent 3 days detailing every inch. Hiroshi polished the chrome until it burned like silver fire. Akemi's article dropped that Friday. The headline ran, "The Lost Yamashita, Restored by His Own Son's Tears." The article spread through classic car forums. In Tokyo, one man read it with cold anger.
A Yamashita roadster. Preposterous. The man never sold a car. This is a forgery. I'll expose it at the concours.
He dialed the concours committee, requesting the entry list. The name, Kotaro Yamashita, only deepened his conviction. Back in Hakone, Kotaro sealed the entry form. The roadster was registered, but a shadow was forming over the mountain. The Karuizawa concours field shimmered with morning dew. The roadster stood among classics, its crimson paint drawing gasps.
Kotaro, look, they're actually photographing the engine bay.
A polished voice cut through the admiration. The crowd parted for a man in a designer suit.
Yamashita never sold a roadster. This is a replica built by some back alley mechanic.
Whispers erupted through the crowd. Cameras swung from the car to the confrontation.
Here it is again. Another man trying to tear down my father's legacy.
I restored this car from Yamashita's own blueprint. I have the evidence.
An elderly man with a white mustache stepped between them, clipboard in hand.
I am Chairman Harada. If there's a dispute, present your evidence to the judging panel.
All eyes turned to the roadster. Its engine plaque gleamed, waiting to speak for itself.
Here are the original blueprint, the only known photograph of Yamashita with this car, and his personal letter.
Chairman Harada bent over the documents, his experienced eyes tracing every line. The crowd held its breath.
I knew Yamashita. I'll summon someone who worked with him. Bring forward the retired mechanic.
A stooped figure emerged, his overalls still smelling of old grease, his eyes locked on the blueprint and never left it. He traced the signature as if it were a holy relic, his hands trembling. Then he looked up, tears spilling. He nodded, choked out words only those near could hear. This is the master's hand. No forgery ever captured his soul.
Ridiculous. One senile witness proves nothing. This is a setup.
The witness is credible. The evidence is conclusive. This car is authentic.
Takeshi turned, his designer suit suddenly ridiculous, and disappeared into the crowd without another word. The judges retired to deliberate. Kotaro watched them go, his father's photo clutched against his heart.
The Best Heritage Award goes to Kotaro Yamashita for his father's 1978 Roadster, restored with love.
Dad, you said this car was made with love. The world finally sees it.
Hiroshi fell to his knees, his sobs lost in the applause. For the first time, the tears were not of shame, but of release.
This trophy belongs to Yamashita Genji. He built this car with his own hands, and he taught me that love can be engineered.
Confetti erupted over the roadster, a storm of gold and red. The car glittered like a jewel in the sunset.
You did it, Kotaro. Your father is shining through every inch of this car.
By evening, Akemi's online edition proclaimed, Yamashita's legacy crowned at Karizawa. His son's tears become gold.
Your father, he would be proud of this car, of you.
I think he always was. He just didn't need a trophy to prove it.
Later, as the sun set, the trophy rested on the polished engine bay. Yamashita's car had finally come home. In the days following the concours, offers poured in. A collector in a cashmere coat offered 18 million yen on the spot.
No amount of money can replace what this car means.
But what will you do with it now? It can't just sit in a garage.
I want to start a foundation. Train young women to restore classics, just like you. Your grandfather was my father's apprentice. It feels right.
Me? As the first apprentice?
Only if you want to. But I can't think of anyone better.
I'd be honored.
That evening, they sketched plans on a napkin at a small cafe. The Yamashita Restoration Foundation was born.
Dad, you taught me that love can be engineered. Now I'll pass it on.
Hiroshi, who had been listening from a nearby table, cleared his throat and offered to be their first consultant. Months later, the Yamashita Restoration Foundation opened its doors in a converted garage just down the mountain from Hakone Classic.
This isn't just a school. It's a place where Yamashita's philosophy lives on.
Hold the torch steady. That's it. The flame will tell you when you are close enough.
She's teaching my father's words. This is exactly what he wanted. 3 new apprentices this month. They all chose our foundation over bigger schools.
A wall in the workshop, slowly filled with photographs. Smiling young women, each with the car they had restored, or the engine they had rebuilt.
Sometimes, I think my grandfather led me here. Everything connects through that blueprint.
Mine, too. But lately, I feel like it also led me to something I wasn't looking for.
What do you mean?
He didn't answer. Instead, he took her hand briefly, then stood to look at the roadster. The engine hummed in his chest, a question he would ask soon enough. The cherry blossoms were late that year, But the vintage car rally bloomed regardless. The Roadster sat like a jewel among polished classics.
Mayu, that first day, you brought me tea because no one else would. You've been the engine behind everything since.
Kotaro, what are you?
He knelt beside the Roadster, a small box in his hand, the same spot where they first bonded over blueprints and oil stains.
Will you marry me? Let's keep restoring things together. Forever.
Yes, yes, 1,000 times.
He slid a simple silver ring onto her finger. It caught the sun, a perfect gear of light.
That's my apprentice and my client.
Front page. Proposed at the Roadster Rally. My favorite story yet.
The Roadster's engine turned over softly, as if Yamashita himself had blessed the morning. And the cheers didn't stop for a long time. The following spring, at the same rally, the Roadster wore garlands of cherry blossoms. The vows were exchanged in the shadow of its polished hood.
By the love this car has witnessed, from oil stains to gold trophies, I now pronounce you married.
Mayu, I promise to restore what breaks, polish what dulls, and drive with you until the road ends.
Kotaro, I promise to keep the engine running, no matter how steep the climb.
Before the ring exchange, Kotaro drew a worn envelope from his jacket, a letter he'd found in his father's old briefcase, addressed to him, never sent.
Drive with love, my son. The car was never the gift. You were. Your father.
Mayu sobbed quietly, her hand tightening over his. Even Hiroshi turned away, his shoulders shaking.
Yamashita's hand is still on this car. On all of us.
The kiss was brief and sweet, and the crowd erupted. Cherry petals fell like confetti onto the gleaming hood. Later, just before sunset, the Roadster, now trailing empty cans, pulled onto the coastal road. The horn honked twice, a final farewell from a father. The reception glowed under strings of festival lights. Mechanics and apprentices danced together, laughter rising like an engine hum.
This toast is for my father. May he know his love still drives.
To Yamashita Genji, your engine still turns in every young woman we teach.
They danced, their feet barely touching the grass, the Roadster's headlights reflecting off their rings like tiny moons. Kotaro slipped away to the car and placed his father's framed photograph on the dashboard, beside the compass.
Dad, I hope you are riding with us tonight. I think you always meant to.
Mayu slid into the passenger seat. She looked back at the guests, raising her hand, then held his.
Thank you, old friend, for carrying his love, and now ours.
The Roadster purred to life. Under a canopy of stars, they drove away from the rally lights. The road ahead was clear, and the engine hummed a steady, eternal note. A son's promise, a father's blessing. Years slipped by like pages in a workshop calendar. The Roadster, now polished by new hands, sat under the same cherry trees where vows were once exchanged. The Yamashita Restoration Foundation had trained over 50 women, their smiling photos covering the workshop wall. On a summer afternoon, a little girl tugged at her mother's hand and pointed at the covered shape in the garage.
You want to know about this car? It's a long story, little spark plug. It started with your grandfather, a man who believed love could be engineered.
And it led to me bringing your father tea on the worst day of his life.
The Roadster had become a family heirloom, its engine still purring, its paint still shining. The foundation's wall now held photos of grandmothers and granddaughters, all trained in the same Yamashita tradition.
One day, if you want, you can learn to drive it. But only when the car says you are ready.
The little girl nodded, her hand still on the grill, as if the engine had already whispered its secrets to her. That evening, the Yamashita family stood beside the Roadster, the same car that had carried 2 generations of love. Mayu helped their daughter into the back, then slid into the passenger seat. Kotaro turned the key.
You want to know if Grandpa is in the car? He is. In every bolt and every gear.
And in every mile we drive, he rides with us.
The Roadster rolled out onto the coastal road, the setting sun spilling gold across the sea.
You see that stretch of road ahead? Grandpa once told me the car would teach me when I was ready.
And it taught you to love. Now it's teaching our little spark plug.
Their daughter's hand rested on the window. Tracing the reflection of the clouds, the roadster disappeared into the golden horizon, its engine a steady heartbeat across the coast. Yamashita Genji never sought fame, but his love was engineered into every revolution of that engine. A love that would drive on forever.